Well, good day, Mr. Houseman. Happy St. Patty's Day, and welcome to our hotel, home of green beer cheer and Blarney Stone wings.
Yeah, thanks. Listen, I am pooped. Can I just get my room key, please?
Oh, no. You sound depressed. Sounds like you need to hear a limerick.
Not depressed, just tired. Room. Please. Now?
There once was a day named St. Pat's. It's much more fun than that show Cats. At our hotel we have plenty of beer and lots of good cheer. And our wings are fried without trans fats.
Yeah, that was great. Can I have my room, please?
Of course, sir. But you're going to have to kiss me first. I'm Irish.
You know what? I'll just go sleep in my car. Thanks.
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast with your host, Glenn Houseman.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the No Vacancy Podcast. I, of course, am Glenn Houseman, your fearless leader here, and I am excited to have you back again. Man, I got such great feedback from the last couple of shows. I am stoked. I'm trying to take it up another notch with this show, and you'll see all shall be revealed in a moment. But be sure you read my stuff as editor-at-large at hotelmanagement.net. Follow me at Traveling Glenn on Twitter, and you'll get notified when new shows are posted. And of course, I've got to push out my newest venture. Watch all my new videos on Here to Stay TV. It's a series of video interviews, all with industry professionals. You can find that on YouTube right now at Bridge Street Global Hospitality before HereToStay.tv actually takes off. Get a special sneak preview. And please, shameless plug for me. Like me on iTunes, like No Vacancy, give me 5 stars, show me a little love, because I want to be able to compete with this guy that I have here. He's Tim Dressen. He's with the 500 by Midnight podcast. Now, I've been a fan of this guy for a really long time, and I think this will get filed under my series of continuing interviews of people I'm jealous of. Tim, welcome to the show.
Wow, that's quite an introduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. But it's true, man. You've been at this for so long, and if people don't know you as Tim Dressen, they may just know you generally as podcast things, Tim and Michelle. See, I do listen to the show all the time. You've been at it now for, what, 10, 12 years?
12, yeah. We just hit 12 in January.
Jesus, that's insane. That's
we were on board very early. I think there were probably fewer than 100 podcasts in existence when I decided to jump in and give it a shot. And so I was definitely an early adopter on this side of the mic.
Yeah, good for you. I waited until there were about 100 million podcasts out there.
You and everybody else.
Yeah. You know, it's just I like to be ignored. But, you know, before I started doing this show last summer, I had a different show that I did for about 6 years, which was a lot of fun. And I think I've been listening to you actually longer than I've been doing my own podcast. Man, it's a long time. But, wow. You know, Tim, 12 years. You focus on Vegas, you love Vegas, you're passionate about it. Pretty much everything's probably changed since that first podcast when it comes to Las Vegas, huh?
Oh yeah, a lot has. You know, some things haven't. That's one of the great things about covering that city. There's just, it never stops, it never slows down, and it might the things that change might change. That's a weird thing to say, but you know, for a while I've been going there for 20 years, and for a while, every time we visited, there was another new resort opened, or maybe 2 or 3 even between trips. Right. And that went on for quite a while. And now for several years, there's been very, very little resort development, but there's always new restaurants. There's always new shows. There's always everything else changes. So even though we haven't seen the huge hotels going up anymore, it's still a really fun place to cover.
Yeah, it really is, and it's amazing to watch the growth of the city and those little changes that happen every single trip that I go there. But you're right, I sure miss those brand new resorts. And I'm very disappointed that it looks like that Alon project is never ever going to happen, which would be located across from the Wynn complex. And then what's going on with Resorts World in that same area? Any idea?
It's one of those projects where they keep saying we're getting very close to really going into full construction mode. You're going to be seeing cranes soon. Last report, they said there were going to be cranes going up in the next couple months, and that was recently. I know they were inspecting the existing structure, which was left over from
Echelon, which was Boyd
when
Canyon
Echelon was
project.
planned.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been inspecting that to make sure that because they're planning on using that existing structure. And they built a big parking garage for employees. There's been a little bit, but it's been a slow crawl. So some people are starting to become skeptical. I'm still holding out hope.
Yeah.
But it's anybody's guess, until not even I used to say, well, once you see cranes, it's a good sign, but there's Fontainebleau stands
exactly.
like
that's why I'm laughing. I knew you were going to say Fontainebleau.
It looks like a big tombstone on the strip, and it's
right?
like, well, that the cranes went for a long time there, and then it just stopped, and it's been dead ever since. So until the doors open, you can't really be sure anymore.
No, you certainly can't. Man, I really hope that they do something with that Fontainebleau building. I've been hearing from all of my contacts, I guess it's old news now, but they're thinking about knocking that thing down because they never closed the building up the right way, and it's pretty screwed inside.
That's what I've heard. They sold off when it got sold last time. The people who bought it sold off pretty much everything that wasn't attached to the walls. Yeah. And I mean, like infrastructure stuff like that. I know one of the escalators is actually a downtown Grand. They had to extend it's the escalator, I think, that goes up to I believe maybe the second floor of their, I don't remember, maybe it's the pool level, but they had to build this little extension because the escalator was longer than the space between floors. So they had to build like a level that you exit the escalator on, and then you have to walk down a little ramp to get to the actual floor. It's very odd, but that's why.
Anything to save a buck, and it's a good thing that they saved a few dollars there because that poor property has just never found its footing. I hope now that they're putting this emphasis on the esports for the millennial kids that it's going to start to get some traction.
That's what they're banking on, and that's been really interesting to watch too. One of the things that's changed is in recent years and it's been extremely entertaining for some of us who are a little bit older to watch the resorts stumbling over each other, trying to figure out how to cater to the millennials. And Downtown Grand has definitely gone all in on the esports thing. That's their angle, and they're making a run at it. So whether or not that's a success, I don't know, but they're putting a lot into that effort.
Well, I definitely think that esports is the way of the future, and I've written about it in some of the columns I've done in Hotel Management magazine, and I really think for hoteliers in general, now that going beyond Las Vegas, that this is great opportunity for some smart people out there. But, Tim, I'm not done with the Fontainebleau part yet. You were talking about how that escalator was sold. I like that the Plaza Hotel downtown bought all of the furniture and then bragged about it through these giant billboards throughout the city, which is cool too.
Yeah, they did. They actually, this is pretty rare for a hotel renovation in Las Vegas. Usually they will, renovate chunks of rooms at a time while the property is still open. Plaza shut down entirely, did the whole thing, using a lot of the furniture they bought at a steep discount apparently from Fontainebleau, and then reopened roughly 6 months later with a all new renovated hotel.
Yeah,
so,
it's unbelievable. They did a great job with that, and of course all the Derek Stevens properties downtown, the D, and the new ones at the Golden Gate, and the new ones that are going to be coming soon. They have really done an amazing job at transforming downtown. I want to hear your opinion on it. I know you're a fan, but for me, it's become essential that every single trip I go, I have to spend at least one night down there.
Well, as well for me, you asked how our trips have changed since we started going to Las Vegas. Now, the first couple of times we were there, we went downtown maybe for an evening or something and didn't really care for it. And we quit going downtown altogether for years.
Right.
Kind of swore it off. Like, why would you go down there? It's dumpy. It's kind of dirty. And then things started to change, started to draw us back. We decided to go back down and take a look and ended up having a great time down there. And now we spend probably more time downtown than we do on the Strip.
Yeah. And not a surprise.
It's for all the reasons you mentioned. It's cleaned up. There's you can I still feel like you can get more for your money down there than you can on the Strip, where drinks cost more and
I
food
agree.
costs more. You can still find decent deals on the Strip, but downtown it just feels like you got better gambling, you've got better food, and the food options have gotten a lot better downtown as well. So you have a lot more choice than you used to. So it's a fun place. I love downtown.
Yeah, there's some super places to get some food down there. There's this one Mexican joint. Of course, I can't remember the name of it right now, but I got to go there all the time because they've got the best shrimp enchiladas. But that being said, I find like downtown, when we're talking about dollars spent, it's kind of like going out in your own neighborhood, where when you go to the Strip properties, it's more like the prices I have to pay when I stay at a luxury resort hotel at all these conferences I go to. And I get very tired of spending $15 for a drink. And unlike you and your lovely bride, Michelle, I'm not a video poker fiend, so I'm not getting drink coupons all the time.
Right.
So
yeah, and sometimes I am okay because we're on vacation. When we're there, I am okay. It's part of the entertainment budget for me to shell out, a little bit of additional money sometimes for a great drink at one of the non-gambling bars, for example, at Cosmopolitan. So I don't mind doing it completely, but when you're there we usually go for 5 or 6 nights, and I couldn't maintain that. My budget couldn't handle doing that for 5 or 6 nights. So, we tend to spend maybe a night or two hanging out on the Strip, and then the rest of the time we're downtown. I say slumming it, but it's not it's not dingy and dirty and grungy like it used to be. It's just a little bit of a taste of old school Vegas, but it's still a fun, clean experience. So.
Yeah. And what I like about it is that I'm not seeing really hot 20-somethings every 2 seconds to make me feel bad about my self-image. So that's always good, too, about being downtown.
I always tell people, if you're in Las Vegas and you're on the Strip too long and you start to see all the club kids and you do start to feel bad about your image, you start to feel old, go to one of the locals places like Gold Coast and you'll be the youngest person in the room instantly, and you're the only one without an oxygen tank. You start to feel really vibrant again.
It's true. And when you are dodging the oxygen tanks, make sure you look out for the lady smoking the cigarettes with the 3 inches of ash still on the cigarette.
Oh, guaranteed.
It's always amazing. And the really super skinny guys with baggy jeans, that I never understood either.
Oh, it's an interesting world down there.
Yeah, for sure. But again, if you guys are listening to this, I highly encourage you to go downtown because it is just so much fun. It's interesting. And I want to talk about Derek Stevens for a minute, who he made all of his money selling auto parts in Michigan and decided, along with his brother, I think, to open up casinos in downtown. And now he seems to be becoming the mogul down there and really helping redefine everything that's happening there.
I know he's been asked about whether or not he has his eye on the Strip, and every time I've seen him answer that question or heard him answer that question, he says, he's got his hands full downtown. He's all in downtown. He believes in it. He sees that there's opportunity down there, and he's done a great job with the remodel and expansion of Golden Gate and turning Fitzgerald's into the D. That's definitely turned that property around, and now he's got another pretty good chunk of land that we're going to see him. I believe he's going to be building from the ground up on that one. So I'm curious. He hasn't given out a lot of details on that. It's going to be really fun to see what he puts together there.
Yeah, the only thing not fun about it is we had to say goodbye to Glitter Gulch, the coolest, most interesting strip club in all of Las Vegas.
It will be missed. It's a part of Fremont Street history.
Yes, it absolutely is. So I don't see why Derek would even want to go to the Strip. I think you have everything down there, and it's got such great energy as well. Plus, there's a Hash House a Go-Go downtown, so I find no need to go uptown anymore.
Well, there's a lot of opportunity there too, downtown, because right now Golden Nugget is probably the closest property to a Strip quality resort in terms of the amenities it has. That's really the only spa downtown and the nicest pool downtown. So there's some space there on the higher end of the downtown spectrum of resorts to do something really cool and maybe go head to head with Golden Nugget. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the direction that he heads with the new property.
Right, totally. Now, On the Strip, you've got great free shows like the Volcano or the Bellagio Fountains. But if you go to the Golden Nugget in January, February, you could see really giant, hairy Russian men in hot tubs in that pool area, which is always a great thing to see. I don't know
This is news to me. I was unfamiliar with that free attraction. I will have to check that out.
Yes, check it out. No additional cost. I'm always amazed. It's like, it's 35 degrees down in downtown, sometimes December, January, and there are these people just hanging out. They're obviously from Eastern Europe. You could just tell by the facial features that they have, and it's amazing to me. So kudos to those guys for having the guts to hang out outside in that cold weather. So moving up to the Strip, I got to tell you, Tim, the thing that I find really interesting is how all of a sudden the casinos realized, hey, we don't have to keep people trapped inside the casinos. Let's have them shop, eat, play outdoors. And I think that the Link has done a phenomenal job at that. And now the park is trying to copy that as well.
Yeah, the park hasn't been as successful in my mind. The Link, I was pleasantly surprised by that. When that thing opened, I just kind of thought, they're going to open a few crappy shops. And they've got some decent restaurant options down there. And almost every time I've been through there, it has a vibe. It's bustling. There are a lot of people walking through there. And, they've had some churn with the initial tenants. A bunch of those closed, but they've managed to keep it full. They've opened some interesting restaurants recently. I know there's a new barbecue place, I believe, in there. And there's Gordon Ramsay just opened his 4th restaurant in town there. It's a fish and chips place. It seems like there's always something new to check out there too.
Tim, you're missing the most important one of all, In-N-Out Burger.
Oh yeah, I went to that In-N-Out Burger in January, and it was like 4:30 in the afternoon, and it was completely dead.
What?
I was shocked. I thought for sure there would be a long line, and no, we walked right up, and service was good, and yeah, I would imagine maybe word hasn't completely gotten out yet, but that's gotta be a super profitable place once it does.
Oh yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me because you look at the one that's on the other side of the expressway, and the expressway I'm talking about is the one that goes behind Mandalay and all of those properties on that side of the Strip, Caesars and Aria and all of those. You go over there and it's always packed, no matter what time of day. Luckily my cab driver is happy because the ticker keeps going all the time, so he's thrilled about it, which is great. But you mentioned the park. Not as successful. I agree in the sense that they seem to have only built a quarter of what was necessary to really create that energy that the Link has achieved.
That's exactly it. There's not a lot there. A handful of restaurants, but not a lot to keep you there unless you're going to an event at the arena. It seems like, and maybe that's what they're banking on, that this is going to be the place people hang out at before and after concerts and hockey games and whatever else is going on. And other than that, it may or may not be busy, but the first time I walked through there, I was kind of like, where's the rest of it? It's just benches and trees. That's not really doing it for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's not doing it for me either. And sadly, the place that sells chicken and waffles isn't even as good as the chicken and waffles at Hash House at Go-Go. So I got no reason to go over there. Even with Cher announcing 18 more days at the new Park Theater, I still won't go there. Okay, I'm not a big Cher fan, but that's beside the point.
Her endless farewell tour.
Yeah. What's that now? It's her 10th anniversary of saying farewell, I think, at this point, right?
I think so.
So I'll tell you, Tim, I had a chance, and you guys could check out the podcast I did with the gentleman who runs the Park Theater. I think I ran it back in December. I had a sneak peek of that, and that is one of the most incredible theaters I've ever seen. So I'm looking forward to getting a chance to hopefully see one of those mini residencies that are taking place over there. That'd be pretty cool.
I am too. I was pretty impressed when I saw the renderings and the videos come out of that space right before it opened. It seems like it is above and beyond the other spaces of that size in Las Vegas. So I'm really looking forward to something that a musical act that I'm really into performing there at some time when we're in town, because I'm anxious to see it.
Yeah, I know Bruno Mars is going to be playing there a number of these years. Now, he's not the type of guy that I would pop into my CD player. Not that I own a CD player anymore, but he's a great showman. And if I happen to be in town when he was doing it, that I think would be a great type of show to see over there.
I'm with you on that. I feel the same way. I don't listen to his music much, but every time I see him on an award show or a Super Bowl or whatever, I'm like, man, that guy is good. So I think he'd be a great fit for Las Vegas.
Yeah, and speaking about music and taking it back over to the link, I think you talked on a recent show about Brooklyn Bowl. That happens to be my favorite music venue in the entire city. You don't have a bad location no matter where you go, and the sound is so spectacular in there.
That's another one that I have not had a chance to see a show in yet, and I want to, because I've heard I've heard great things about it, but there just hasn't been anything I've been interested in town the same time we're there. So that's still on the to-do list, but I've been hearing great things about it from people who have seen shows.
Yeah, I saw Modest Yahoo, who is no longer a super religious Jew, do a show there. That was really interesting. It was fun. Then I saw Joe Russo's Almost Dead play there, which was a really, really spectacular show. And you just get lost in the quality of the sound is so good. Even if a band is only 50% of what you like, I think that the sound system makes it so much better and so much more immersive. So go check it out. And I've heard that they've got amazing food over there as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so listen, I want to get some of your picks on what you think are some of your favorite things in Las Vegas and some of the trends that we need to experience out there. And also, I want to hear you talk a little bit about MGM's ability to extricate as many dollars as people out of possible.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun one to watch. People are thrilled with MGM.
Well, people have been dying for a better parking experience, so I'm very, very happy that they're charging more for that.
I get it. They're running a business. They want to make money. They're in the business of making money. But it's the thing that I've noticed whenever I hear an executive from MGM Resorts do an interview, they talk about profitability and profit growth. And I rarely hear them say anything about the customer experience.
Right.
And I think long term, you're a hospitality company. You're losing focus. The bottom line has it's important to them. Obviously, they've got shareholders and all that stuff and a board of directors. But if you alienate all your customers, eventually that's going to catch up with you. And I don't know when it'll happen, but it's very aggravating.
I'll tell you when I think it's going to happen. Right now, the average daily rate in Las Vegas is the highest it's ever been citywide. But as soon as our economy starts to go the other way, I think that's when all of a sudden people are going to understand how much they're spending in stupid parking fees and resort fees and all of these other ridiculous fees that they're starting to put in there that I think personally is just insulting. I do a speech on the road about why your hotel guests may hate you, and I talk all about those kinds of fees that go in there. Build them into the price, and I think people would be cool with it. But when you break them out and telling me I'm paying for stuff that I feel like I should be having included, then it's just going to create enemies, I think, for your guests.
That's exactly it. And, I understand resort fees are a great example because that's the one that has taken over pretty much every major resort in Las Vegas. I understand the reason that they do it, and instead of just incorporating it into the price, but the average person who's going on vacation once or twice a year doesn't. They don't know, and they don't care. And I don't really care either, but at least I feel like I understand it. It's aggravating, and nobody wants to see additional fees. I'm with you. Tack it onto the price if you're going to raise your rates. And you're absolutely right about the average room rate. And right now, it's all, as with anything, it's supply and demand. The economy is doing better. People are vacationing more. They're not having trouble filling rooms in Las Vegas like they did, 6 or 7 years ago. And I think a lot of us who go there often got very comfortable during the recession with more prefix menus at great restaurants and at super low room rates for rooms we wouldn't otherwise be able to stay in or afford.
Right.
And now it's like, oh, what happened? Well, the economy got better and they don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. They certainly don't. And, One thing I found interesting was how they've changed the comp drink system at MGM, and I suppose that it's going to follow in other places. I think it's already happened at Cosmopolitan as well.
And Caesars has done it at a lot of their properties as well. It's a slightly different system, but same concept.
And the thing that surprised me is when I first heard about it, I thought it was going to be really, really bad for the folks that were avid gamblers. But on a recent show of yours, again, it's the 500 by Midnight podcast. You don't seem to be bothered by it. You seem to have had plenty of vouchers coming out.
I'm bothered by the concept of it,
right.
But when I actually experienced it at Cosmopolitan, we played at the sports bar there for roughly an hour, and at a average speed playing video poker. We weren't putting tons and tons of money through as what we would typically do, and yeah, the drink tickets were coming out much faster than we could redeem them. So, at some point maybe they will end up tightening that up, but I think I said on that show that there's a certain psychological tie-in to that, where if you are sitting there playing and you're getting more drink tickets than you can use, you kind of leave going, oh man, they're really generous there.
Yeah. I think you're right about that, especially for folks that are going to come into the world of gaming without knowing what it used to be like. It'll just feel really good for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I hate when people ask me this question, so I'm going to ask you it, Tim. What's your favorite hotel in Las Vegas and why?
Oh, that for a long time I felt like I didn't have a home base. It's moved around. The place that I've stayed, for a few years it seemed like we were staying at Paris for a lot of our trips, and then for whatever reason it shifts. I haven't stayed there a lot recently, but I will say Cosmopolitan is the place that keeps drawing me back. Yeah. On the Strip. Yeah,
me too.
I love the restaurant lineup. I love the bars. The casino is decent. I feel comfortable playing there, even though the odds aren't great. The rooms are fantastic. It's the terrace, especially if you have a Bellagio facing room and you get to see the fountain show from outside. I've just never had a bad time there. It's a great property for me.
Yeah, I've stayed there probably a half a dozen times, and every single time I've been fortunate enough to stay with the terrace facing the Bellagio. And we've had some nights where people just will come over to my room and we'll just get stuck on that balcony the entire night and have to force ourselves to kind of leave, because when the weather's perfect and you're watching the fountain show, the view is amazing. It just feels so consummate Vegas. It's awesome.
It is a really fun thing. And, there's not that many places on the Las Vegas Strip where you have an outdoor space on an average hotel room. You might on a really fancy suite, but not on the standard rooms. In Cosmo, most of their rooms do have that. Now they do, the price reflects that. There's a high demand for that, so it's not a cheap place to stay, but it's a fun thing for a vacation to spend it there.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see some of the new suites that they opened. I was surprised when the new ownership came in that I found out that there was a number of floors that they hadn't even finished in terms of rooms, and they built out these great new suites there.
Yeah, I think that was a surprise to a lot of us that there was space that hadn't been used yet, and the photos of those that I've seen look great. So it'll be interesting to. I haven't had any. I don't know if I'm assuming they're using those. I haven't had any reviews of them yet, but yeah, it's pretty cool what they're doing there too. And it seems like the new ownership too has. For a while, this casino at Cosmo was struggling. They're having trouble attracting gamblers. They did well with the nightlife, but now the last couple of years, the casino is pretty full on weekends when I'm walking through there. So I think they seem to be doing okay now.
What is the mix of gamblers versus partiers? Because my attitude at Cosmo, or not my attitude, but what my observation is it seemed like the 20-somethings were interested in hanging out at Marquee, and then maybe some of the guys would like to hit a table to look cool for about 10 minutes. But other than that, it was older people that were really putting the money in the slot machines and playing the other games.
Yeah, that's accurate based on what I've seen too.
Yeah. All right, so you go there a number of times a year, including what seems to become an annual tradition in October, the Vegas Internet Mafia Picnic that you do downtown. What's your strategy for surviving 5-6 days in Vegas at a time?
I've learned to pace myself. When I was younger and foolisher, when I would do like a lot of people do and hit it hard right away. And now I've learned, you know what? Sleep is not a bad thing. If you're going to be there for more than, if you go in for 2 nights or something, hit it hard. What the heck? You can sleep later. But if you're going to be there for several nights, take a nap once in a while, get a full night's sleep. You're going to have a much better time the entire time, and you're not going to lose, you're not going to lose an entire day. If you try to go 6 nights and you hit it hard every single moment of every day, you're probably going to lose an entire day because you're going to be hungover in your hotel room. So, pacing is key.
Smart. I try to take a nap if I can before going out, and if I'm there for 5 days, now I've never been there just vacationing, but if I'm there for 5 days, I would like to take a chill on that middle night and just kind of try to recuperate so I can end strong instead of just peter out and wish for death towards the end.
Yeah, that's really important. A lot of people do, they do shorter trips and you can get away with going nuts, but I'd rather spend a little bit more time there and I guess enjoy the whole thing.
Right. And my other big warning to you guys out there, if you want to go out and really turn it on, I don't know about you, but I can't eat a giant steak and then go out. So I like to have, if I'm going to do a fancy steak dinner, I like to do it the night I arrive because I'm East Coast time. So I'm going to be kind of zonked by 10, 11 o'clock anyway. So that's the night I try to eat heavy. The rest of the time, I love going to like noodle shops and sushi and lighter foods that don't weigh me down so I can continue to go out and enjoy myself.
Yeah, we found a trend with us lately for our trips in the last couple of years really is doing a lot more happy hours and just ordering appetizers at the bar. And maybe, we might eat a little bit more often during the day because we're doing smaller meals, but that's exactly it. You don't end up getting weighed down. And plus you get to try more places and more things, which is fun too.
Yeah. Any particular restaurants that you're recently that you've come to really love?
The place that I've been really hooked on I think it maybe opened, I don't know, roughly a year ago, on Fremont Street, part of Fremont East, where it's mostly bars, but there's a couple of restaurants there too. There's a place called Therapy, and I don't think we've actually eaten a proper full meal there, but we've eaten pretty much everything off of their appetizers menu, and it's just killer food. We always enjoy that. So we find ourselves going back there a lot.
Good. I've got to check out that place at some point. Oh, I remember the name of the Mexican place downtown. It's called La Comida.
That's great.
Yeah, make sure you check that one out. It's awesome. I love that. Okay. I think we're just about to wrap up here. What other final words of wisdom do you have about Vegas before I tell you to, promote that podcast?
The only other thing I'll say about, you'd ask kind of about some of the trends. Yeah. One of the things that I'm really liking right now, and part of this is because I'm a music fan, I love that it seems like the entertainment scene has shifted back recently to headliners rather than big production shows. So yeah, you still got your Cirque shows, but more of the shows that have been announced lately have been known musical acts and comedians that are doing these residencies. Some of them are just for maybe every weekend for a month, and then some of them are long term. And they're playing maybe, 25 weekends a year or something. And for a while, there's always been that. You'd had your Celine Dion's and stuff like that, but it's more and more acts that are taking on that opportunity to perform often. And it's great. It's great for music fans because usually they do a different show than they're doing on tour. A lot of times you get to see them in a smaller space. We've seen a few shows. We saw that like Billy Idol at House of Blues.
Oh, sweet.
And it was phenomenal. The guy put on a great show, super high energy, all of his hits, really, really fun show. And it's nice to see a lot of chances to see acts doing that now.
Yeah, and that's what I like. I've been hoping to see Santana for like 10 years now because he's always there, but never went on there. And it's just, it drives me crazy that I never get to see him.
Yeah, that's the one thing, when they do these blocks of dates, inevitably, a lot of times there's somebody that plays there, but you miss them by a week or, if it's somebody you're really into, you almost have to plan around it.
And anybody who knows me, it's no strange thing that I've been going to see Fish shows since 1990. And a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to go see them at the MGM Arena for Halloween. Now that was a great, memorable Las Vegas concert experience. That's for sure.
Halloween alone in Las Vegas is a show in and of itself. But yeah, you add a concert on top of that, it's got to be a blast.
And then everybody's all dressed up for the concert too. And we did before we went to the concert, we went to the High Roller. That's the big giant Ferris wheel. Although I don't think they like to be called a Ferris wheel. And we got these special happy hour tickets. So it was all you could drink in 30 minutes. That's the way to do it. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was the best. And a little hint, if you do that, you can get a cocktail filled a couple of minutes before it's over, and then you could bring it with you so you could mine one extra drink out of it.
Yeah, when that Ferris wheel went up, I was thinking, I don't know about this thing. It's kind of novel, but I've been on it probably 3 or 4 times now, just as a result of somebody saying, "Hey, I've never done that. Do you want to do that?" Yeah, let's do it. We got to do the happy half hour though, because then we're drinking the whole time. And every time it's been a blast.
Yep, it sure is, and that's it. And then just go explore the link, have a good time over there. Then maybe go check out O'Shea's, play a little beer pong, and hang out, and you have a lot of fun on the Strip and downtown. All right, one of my favorite podcasts, 500 by Midnight. How do we find you on it?
500bymidnight.com. You can find us on iTunes or any of the usual places for downloading podcasts as well.
Great. And I highly recommend it. And hopefully, guys, that'll become your second favorite podcast after mine, of course. I got to be a little selfish here, Tim, but
of course.
It's great talking to you. I can't believe you've been at it 12 years. It's pretty awesome stuff.
Well, thank you. I can't believe I've been at it 12 years either, but it's a lot of fun. I never get tired of talking about Las Vegas. And fortunately, we've managed to build up a really, really great, knowledgeable, fun, dedicated audience that encourages our nonsense every week. So we'll continue plugging away at it.
Yep. And a couple of years ago, Tim quit his daytime job, and he's focusing a lot on this and some other specialty work as well. But he wrote a great book called The Outsider's Guide to Las Vegas. You can find that at LasVegasOutsidersBook.com. Anywhere else that they could get that book?
Yeah, it's on Amazon and all the usual locations. But yeah, all the links, you can find all the links on that URL that you gave.
Yep. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thanks for having me. This has been a great time. I'd love to talk Vegas with you anytime.
Yeah. I'd love to do this again sometime soon. And to all of you, my dear listeners, stick around because I've got a great interview coming up right after this commercial break. I would tell you which one it is, but I've got so many in the can, I just don't know which one I'm gonna run. By the time you hear this, you'll know, I'll know. It'll be great. Tim, thanks for being here, and we'll be right back.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening to the No Vacancy podcast with me, Glenn Hausman. You're listening to this right now. That's right, right now. You're listening. But you're not the only one. Many others are too. So my question is, do you want to get noticed? Guess what? I can help you with that. Every single month, my content delivers more than 100,000 impressions. I know. I thought the same thing too. Now it's your time to get you or your product, service, or brand known by leveraging my network. I'll work with you to find creative solutions that are going to get your message to the ears and eyes that you need to attract. Just send me a note at glenn@rouse.media or find me on Twitter at travelingglenn. That's glenn@rouse.media, ROUSE.MEDIA. And while we're at it, Glenn has got 2 N's. Thanks for listening, and now back to more great content.
Back to the show. It's No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast with your host, Glenn Hausman.
So, one of the places I love most in the world is going to Orlando. I'm a little bit of a sucker for the Walt Disney World universe. But one of the things I've noticed over the 40 years that I've been going, my first trip was to the Polynesian Village Resort in 1974. I noticed these great hotels that had popped up on International Drive, and since then beyond that, and they were all Rosen hotels. So I wanted to learn a little bit about Mr. Harris Rosen, and I feel like during my 20-year career, I've heard all sorts of things about this wonderful person. What a great guy he is, what a smart businessman he is, and finally, today, I have wrangled an interview with the man himself, Mr. Harris Rosen. Thank you for joining me today, sir.
Oh, you're welcome, but I'm not so sure that what you just said was necessarily accurate. All of the hotels are not Rosen properties. We are an infinitesimal, minuscule part of the hotel industry here in Florida.
All right. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know any other hotels on International Drive besides Rosen, or at least it appears that way because you have so many there. And one of the things that I found out is you were instrumental in helping develop and plan both the Contemporary Resort Hotel and the Polynesian Village Hotel at the Walt Disney World property. How awesome is that? I feel like I can't believe I didn't know that until now.
Yeah, that's going back just a couple of years, but when I was hired by Disney, I think I was hired as kind of the manager of hotel planning. And so I did work with the architects in California. I think Wilton and Beckett were the architects, and I did work with them in planning the Contempt and the Poly, and what was then the Golf Resort, which is now Shades of Green.
Which is a military-focused resort, right?
Owned by the military. And also Fort Wilderness.
Wow.
They were all my responsibility to work with the architects. The architects were, I think, primarily concerned with aesthetics, and I think I was primarily concerned with the operational component. But together we seemed to do very nicely and created some hotels which have done very well throughout the years.
Well, those hotels in particular have done well, and we'll get to the ones that you created on your own in a second. But I find it fascinating that you had an instrumental role in that, and they were such different types of properties than I think the general hospitality industry had seen before then. So, what was your inspiration in uniting that unique design with a smart operational component that would ensure that these properties would be successful now going on 45 years?
And that's correct. But I think you're giving much too much credit. I think the architects really were the ones who were so creative and designed Poly and designed Contempt and created Fort Wilderness and the Golf Resort. My not my sole concern, but my primary concern was to make sure that these beautiful properties would operate efficiently as well. I mean, it's great to have aesthetics that are mind-boggling and people look at the property and say, oh my God, but if it takes them an hour to check in, or if they're having difficulty dialing a number, or if they call for room service and it doesn't happen for several hours, the beauty of the properties quickly dissipates.
Yeah, absolutely, because you can't even see the beauty around you if you're frustrated by the operational issues.
That's
right?
where I focus really laser-like on making sure that the property operates well. I can tell you an interesting story.
Yeah.
Right before Poly opened, I was there in the lobby to make sure that we were staffed well, make sure that everyone understood what their particular duties were. But I was kind of overwhelmed by the ringing of telephones on the front desk, and I thought, gee whiz, that's somewhat disconcerting that in this beautiful environment, this Polynesian environment, you've got the phones ringing, people trying to get to the front desk and trying to get to the assistant managers. And so I had an idea. The idea was, what if instead of the traditional ring, the telephones chirped like birds? I mean, this is kind of a tropical environment. And so within a few days, you walk into the lobby of Polynesian and you heard chirping.
You know, you're almost going to cue me to sing the Tiki Bird song if you're not careful.
That was one of Rosen's contributions. Anyway, I also helped create what soon became something of really extraordinary significance, and that was the Central Reservation Office. We started with about 2 or 3 people, and by the time I left in 1973, I believe, it was a Central Reservation Office consisting of about 150 to 200 people who really, I think, helped the Disney hotels operate virtually full from 1971 until many years later.
Yeah, I think till today they're virtually full, and Orlando in general has been enjoying a great occupancy and rates. But your story starts as an independent hotelier, going back to, I think, 1974 when you purchased your first property that was on International Drive?
That is correct. June 24th, 1974. at the depth of the oil embargo. You're probably too young to remember that.
I sort of remember it because my parents took me to Hershey Park, and the place was completely empty. Hershey Park is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And so imagine you would like to come to Disney, but it's about a 5-hour wait to get gas if you can even get it. And so imagine what impact that oil embargo had on Orlando and on Disney. It was devastating. But I had left Disney and was thinking about what I really wanted to do for the rest of my life, and decided foolishly that it was the perfect time to buy a hotel because people were virtually giving them away. I think occupancies in Orlando in 1974 were probably in the 30% range, and that's not enough occupancy to sustain any property. And so I started looking for a hotel, found a beautiful little motel, about 256 rooms, fronting I-4, Interstate 4, and International Drive, and Sand Lake Road.
Wow.
And so I said, boy, the location is perfect. Maybe I should inquire inside the property if there's someone there who might be able to talk to me about the likelihood of the property being for sale. And I walked in and I spoke to the person at the front desk, and she said, yes, the owner is here, Mr. Morgan. And I said, oh, my God, would he have a second to meet with me? And she said, well, sit down and I'll give him a buzz. Within minutes, a short, stocky gentleman came walking over to me, introduced himself as Jim Morgan, the owner. And I said, sir, my name is Harris Rosen, and I'm looking to purchase a hotel, which was kind of absurd because I didn't have much money in the bank, and I didn't know how I was going to finance a property.
Right.
But anyway, that's what I said. And he took a step towards me, and he hugged me so tight that he actually broke one of my rib bones. And as he was hugging me, squeezing me, he said, God has sent you. And I said, uh-oh, that's not a good sign. Then he invited me into his office. We sat down and had a conversation. I shared with him what my experience was since I left the Army, went to Cornell Hotel School, spent 3.5 years in the Army overseas, worked for Hilton for a while, and then ultimately wound up in Disney, operating their properties. And he said, oh, my God, this is just the perfect property for you. And he shared with me that he had a family, but really wasn't able to spend much time with his 3 daughters because the hotel was doing so badly. He said, I'm in real estate. I don't know anything about managing a hotel, but I can't afford a general manager. I got to get rid of this. And I said, well, what's the next step? And he said, I'll introduce you to the folks who hold a mortgage. It's a company out of Connecticut called Travelers, and they'll come and they'll interview you and see if you're a good candidate to acquire the property. Well, several weeks went by, and then I got a call. Went to his office again. A gentleman was there from Travelers, and he interviewed me and looked at my resume, and he said, wow, you are the perfect guy for this property. And then he asked me a strange question, which I thought was strange. He said, how much money do you have in the bank?
Right.
And I'm wondering, is this something that I should share with this guy?
Yeah.
Then a voice said, yeah, he probably knows already. That's how naive I was.
Right.
And I said, sir, I've got $20,000 in the bank. He extended his hand. I thought I should shake it, so I did. And he said, we have a deal. You give me $20,000 cash, and you will assume a $2 million mortgage. Oh, my God.
Wow.
I fell over. So within a relatively short period of time, I walked into what was then my hotel, walked into my office, put my head down on the desk, and I cried. And I said, I've done the dumbest thing a human being could do. I gave away every penny I had. I now have an obligation to pay off a mortgage, $2 million. How in God's name am I going to do it? The hotel is operating around the 30% occupancy. What did I just do?
Right.
And that was the beginning. That was June 24th, 1974.
Wow. That's an unbelievable story. So tell me, what did you do? I know you've got the operational prowess, but how long did you have to wait it out before things started to turn around and really start heading in the direction that Orlando has become today?
Well, I had a plan. before I started looking for property, I had a plan. My plan was that individuals during that embargo were not able to purchase gasoline, but motor coach companies were. They had great relationships with local gas stations, and they were able to fill their bus. A bus would transport about 45 people wherever they were going, and that could be as many as 40 rooms or 25 or 30 rooms. And so I said to myself, what I'm going to do is travel to New York, to New Jersey, and to Massachusetts, where the core of the motor coach industry is, and I'm going to try to convince them to start using my hotels now. I had little business cards printed. Of course, I couldn't fly to New York. They didn't have any money, didn't have a credit card, so I hitchhiked. Wow. So I hitchhiked to Jacksonville, from Jacksonville, essentially to New York. The people were just so kind. And then I started making my rounds. The people at the motor coach companies heard my story and were so incredibly sympathetic that they made sure that I had a place to stay, sometimes in their homes, sometimes at a friend's house. So I didn't have to worry about paying for hotel. In terms of transportation, they would drive me in their buses to the competitor motor coach company. I mean, it was just the people. But here's what I did. I gave them my little business card, and they said, "What do you want us to do with it?" And I said, "You write a room rate down on that card, whatever rate you want. I will honor it for at least 1 year, and that rate, whatever that rate is, will be your rate for at least 1 year." And they said, "Any rate?" I said, "Whatever rate you want. I want you guys to come to Orlando."
Wow.
Well, the rates range from $7.50 to $8.50, and I visited 7 motor coach companies. Each one of them so incredibly happy with my meeting with them that they began almost immediately to send business my way. Now, how was I going to get on the way back to Orlando?
Hopefully motor coach?
The last company I met with was Paragon Tours in Massachusetts. Right. And the owners, the Pendler family, heard my story and said, "We know of a couple that's driving to Orlando. They do it every year, and they're going there to stay for a couple of months. And they have indicated to me, Jim Pendler, that they would be happy to drop you off there." Oh, my God. Wow. Well, that couple stayed with me as my guest for the same 2 months every single year until they passed away about 15, 20 years ago. Oh, my goodness. And so that's how I got back to Orlando, and then the buses started pouring in. Of course, occupancies climbed. Yep. I did about 6 different jobs. I was the breakfast cook. I carved the meat at night. I was the security officer. I was the housekeeper. I was the general manager. I was the gardener. And so I saved about $250,000 a year on salaries. I lived in a hotel. I lived in a hotel for 16 years. Wow. And I did all of these jobs. And the $250,000 I saved and the revenue that I generated from the motor coach business, albeit the average rate was terrible, was enough for me to survive that first year.
Wow. Then you bought another one, like literally a year to the day later.
A year to the day, I acquired my second property, and as they say, the rest is kind of history.
That's amazing. I feel like I would love to go back in time and give you a ride, although in that time I don't think you would like a ride from a toddler because my driving was probably a little bit off. But how awesome is that for that couple? They did something out of the goodness of their own heart, and then you repaid them with such generosity like that.
Well, I will never, ever, ever forget their kindness. It was really quite extraordinary.
So tell me a little bit more about how you got from that second hotel to 3 to 4 to 5. And it seems like all the properties that you have seem to be in, no pun intended, magical locations because it seems like you had a second site for where they're going to build this convention center and really just be in the heartbeat of Orlando or Lake Buena Vista area outside of the theme park zone.
Well, listen, our little company is 42 years old now, and so over the 42 years, we have expanded. We built additional properties. We expanded the properties we had. And the latest property we have is the Shingle Creek Resort, and it will be celebrating its 10th anniversary pretty soon. So in 32 years, we grew from one property with 256 rooms to 7 properties with about 6,500 rooms. What I'm really most proud of is not necessarily that growth, because it was a good growth, and we have done very well, but the fact that today and over the last 7 or 8 years, we were able to say with great pride that we don't have a penny of debt on any of our properties.
Wow. That is really spectacular. So before we start talking about your relationship with your associates and all the things you do with them, I'm curious as to why did you decide to stick with just Orlando? There are so many hoteliers that, want to go across the country and have as many properties as possible, but it seems like you've been very successful and content with just sticking in that one region.
Well, I'm kind of fussy. I'm born in September, so I'm a Virgo. I like things to be neat and tidy and well organized. And it occurred to me very, very quickly that it was impossible for me to operate the kinds of properties I wanted to operate the way I wanted to operate them if I wasn't able to see them on a daily basis. And so I'm virtually at 3 or 4 or 5 properties every single day.
Wow.
And my office is where I lived for 16 years at what is now the Rosen Inn International, but was the Quality Inn. So I've been in this little space for 42 years. It's really odd because people will come and visit with me, and I will hear more often than not someone knocking on the door, and we open it, and they say, "I'm looking for Mr. Rosen's office," and I know it can't be here. Yes, it is here. We call it the Trump Tower Annex.
That's really hysterical. So basically everything is gilded in gold, and you ride giant stuffed horses, right? So perfect. I love it. So Mr. Rosen, I'm curious as to, you had all these great properties, but I feel like with the Shingle Creek property, you took it up to a next level. What was the inspiration behind building a resort with 1,500 rooms and such an emphasis on meeting space and the full service spa and all of that kind of stuff?
Well, I must confess that very early on, so I leave Cornell, go right into the Army, leave the Army, start working. And my dream, to be quite candid, was to be a general manager of a resort property. Growing up on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, not seeing any grass, no hills, no mountains.
Yep.
The only trees that we had in the neighborhood were surrounded by this little circle of iron to make sure that we, the kids, didn't carve our initials in it. And so,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right, and so I always dreamed that one day maybe I would live and maybe even work in an environment that was more closer to nature. And so I've always dreamed about having a resort. And after we did the Rosen Center Hotel, I immediately started looking for several hundred acres to build a large resort and a golf course. And we came about a property that had about 250 acres, owned, I think it was by Universal.
Yes.
And we made a deal, and we had enough cash to buy the land, and then we started meticulously planning the hotel. We probably visited 15 or 20 resorts, and we videoed and we took photographs of all of the things that we were impressed with at various properties, and ultimately put a kind of a collage together of all of the properties we visited and selecting the very best of each. Had some wonderful architects working with us who also then visited some of the properties that we thought were more closely aligned to what it was that we were contemplating. And the design was absolutely extraordinary. And here we are, 1,501 rooms, 500,000 square feet of meeting space, 4 little swimming pools, about 20 dining opportunities, and very well recognized, I think, is a very fine convention property. And there's no doubt that one day, within the next 4 to 6 years, there's a good possibility that Shingle Creek will add another 640 rooms and another 150,000 square feet of meeting space.
Double wow.
So yeah, we're always kind of dreaming about what's next.
So what are the things that you're looking forward to next? Is that the next thing that you're dreaming of, or is there other stuff in store as well?
Next in terms of business? Yeah. I think that we do have some tentative plans to add some more rooms to Rosen Center, to add some more rooms to Rosen Plaza, and to add some more rooms to Shingle Creek. Terrific. I think within the next 6 or 7 years, my hope is, if the economy stays strong, if the world is at peace, we might very well move ahead and get those done.
It must be exciting to you to watch all of the changes that have taken place in the market with the last 40 years. Now, you said you bought land from Universal. Universal also sold a parcel of land that was adjacent to where you built your hotel, which became the addition to the Orange County Convention Center down there. And then they went ahead and they built their resort a little bit further north off International Drive, right? And now it looks like they're going to be expanding a whole other area as well down where they own the Wet and Wild property and all of that. So between all these theme park wars that are going on, it must be exciting to see all of the millions and millions of more people that are coming to town every single year.
It is very exciting. To be quite candid, I would love to see all of the attractions expand and more attractions come, and for hotel construction to kind of slow down a little bit, and let Rosen get his properties expanded first.
Well, I think that's a great idea. So everyone listening out there, stop building hotels in Orlando. Mr. Rosen has spoken. Yes. All right.
I hope they hear you. Yes.
All right. So one of the things that I hear about you often is that you're really more of like a handshake guy, which kind of impresses me. You're all about trust and doing a deal in that way instead of trying to get bogged down in lawyers and litigations. Is that true, or is that just a rumor that I heard out there?
Well, no, I think that is true to a certain extent. Of course, in today's world, it is appropriate and necessary to put things in writing so there aren't any misunderstandings. But I will tell you this, that the contractor who built Shingle Creek, the owner of Wellbro and myself shook hands and did not sign a formal contract until construction was well along. We both trusted each other implicitly, and we were done with Shingle Creek a little over a year and a half, right on budget, and the property was absolutely beautiful. Wow. So the contractor held up his end of the deal. I suspect I held up my end, and a handshake sealed the deal.
Wow. That's phenomenal that you could do a handshake deal for a property of that, and more importantly, get it done in only 18 months. That's incredible.
Yeah, that was really quite extraordinary, but we were all hands on deck.
Yeah.
We helped the general contractor and the subs tremendously. I probably spent between 10 and 15 hours a day, 7 days a week until the property was completed, and our team was almost an extension of the general contractor. I mean, we were there on site, meeting with the folks on a regular basis, sharing with them our perspective on how things were coming along. And we created a DDD concept.
Right.
DDD means done, done, done. Because we discovered early on that we'd asked our contractor, are you done? He said, yeah, I'm done. But I still have a little bit more to do. No. You're not done. He said, yeah, I'm done. No. We want you to be done, 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 which means absolutely, unequivocally, everything is done. And so we created the DDD, and that's a concept that is still with us.
That's awesome. I love it. And one of the things that I also hear is that you have a lot of long-term employees, and you're a guy who's done very well for himself, but you want to make sure that all of your associates are taken care of as well. And you started offering a low-cost healthcare program 25 years ago, and then built your own medical clinic and offer free college tuition for associates and their families. What made you focus so much on caring about your employees where other companies just seem to take them for granted sometimes, I think?
Well, I will tell you this, that we don't consider them to be employees. They're part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And what is so wonderful is that we do have families working with us. We have moms and dads and kids.
Yeah.
And we're so proud of that.
Amazing.
And of course, when you combine all of their incomes, they're doing very, very, very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
But they are family. And so the question I would ask myself is, they're family members. Treat them like family. And so our associates are treated like family. And so our medical center, which has been around for 25 years, 4 full-time primary care docs, a staff of 38. We have our own fitness facility there. There are no deductibles at all in our healthcare plan.
Wow.
Co-pays are minuscule if they even exist.
Mm-hmm.
And if you work for me and you're single, we just went up from $750 a year to $825 a year for healthcare.
Oh my God!
And listen to this: the most you pay for a hospital, 2 visits, $850 each visit. After that, I pay everything.
Wow!
And so for family coverage, you can have 10 or 15 kids in the family. It's about $2,700. Just went up from $25 to $27. And once again, $800 each family member maximum. 2 times in the hospital. After that, I pay. So here's an example of how wonderful that healthcare benefit is. We had a baby born several years ago, a little preemie,
mm-hmm.
weighed in about 2 pounds. The baby was in the hospital, intensive care for a while, and then gaining weight.
Mm-hmm.
And when the baby left, we got the bill.
Mm-hmm.
The bill was $1,046,000. Mom and dad paid $750.
Wow.
So we do that for one simple reason.
Mm-hmm.
It is the right thing to do. Now, hospitality has turnover, which is absolutely horrible. Restaurants and hospitality turnover anywhere from 40% to 70 or 80%.
As a matter of fact, the industry average is about 70-something%. We're getting 4, 5, 6% every single month.
It's absurd. Our turnover, low single digits. And most of that turnover is people are retiring,
right,
or people are moving out of town. Very, 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 very seldom does someone leave our company and go someplace else. Very, very rarely. So we're incredibly proud of that. When you sit around the table with our associates and you ask the question, how long have you been with us? It is unusual to find someone who's been with us less than 15 or 20 years.
Wow. That's unbelievable. And besides the fact that it's great that you fostered a great environment for your associates, that must really translate in being able to service your guests at the same time. And I bet they get to know each other over years and years too.
And that is absolutely correct. And it's amazing. People will book with us, come back in 3 or 4 or 5 years, and bump into the same people and say, "Oh my God, that's never happened to us before."
Yeah.
but it is a bit unusual, but it is a wonderful advantage. And of course, happy associates, happy family members provide great service.
That's amazing. I also wanted to talk a little bit about your philanthropy. You're really very focused on having management and philanthropy kind of coincide and become kind of one sort of a thing. So why so focused on philanthropy, and what do you think it does for not just the community, but for perhaps you and your company?
Well, I grew up on the Lower East Side of Manhattan.
And by the way, I'd like to interject. My mom grew up in Stuyvesant Town, so I know that area pretty well.
Oh my God! My brother went to Stuyvesant High School. I went to music and art.
My mom went to music and art.
Pardon?
My mom went to high school of music and art.
Oh my God! That was on 135th Street in Convent. So it was quite a schlep from the Lower East Side. I mean, Stuyvesant Town and then Peter Cooper probably around, I don't know, 14th Street, 20th Street, something like that, right on the East River. And so it was a schlep to 135th Street.
Yeah.
But we were far away from 1st and 2nd Street.
Yeah.
And so I had to take a bus, the train, and the train to a train, and then finally walk up to music and art.
My God.
But boy, it is an incredibly small world.
Yeah, I think my mom was in the same class as Burt Bacharach or something like that.
Yeah, he did go to music and art also.
Yeah.
So what was your question again?
Oh, philanthropy. Why do you like to focus so much on philanthropy?
Growing up there, Mom's family came from Austria-Hungary. Dad's family came from Ukraine. And so it was a struggle. Mom and Dad would say, what you need to do is finish high school, go on to college. First one, of course, in the family go to college. Brother was the second one. And then here I am, blessed beyond anything a human being can imagine. God has been so incredibly good to me. Sitting at my desk in the office I've been in for 42 years, and we just finished Rosen Plaza, and we're now ready to start Rosen Center. And I had kind of like an epiphany. A voice said, Harris, you've been blessed. You have to say thank you, God. And what you have to do is start offering a helping hand to those in need. You need to do that. It's the right thing to do. So we created the Rosen Foundation and started thinking about what we could possibly do to help those that needed a helping hand.
Yeah.
Of course, education was always critical in my growing up. And so I thought I would do something that had to do with education, college scholarships or something like that. But I called into my office a couple of friends. One was an early childhood expert, and one was a principal of one of the large high schools. Sarah Sprinkle, early childhood expert, and Bill Spoon was the principal. Together, the three of us created, in a relatively short period of time, a template which we now use in Tangelo Park and in the Paramore community. The template is this: adopt an underserved community, one that needs help, and offer free preschool to all of the 2, 3, and 4-year-olds, and then also offer a free college, community college, trade school education, everything paid for if the youngster is accepted to 4-year public college in Florida, community college, or trade school. Rosen Foundation takes care of everything. So we created that program, found a neighborhood called Tangelo Park, adopted that community, created the preschool program and the college scholarship program immediately. Wow. So we let the folks know that if your child is graduating from high school, has been accepted to college, we will right now take care of all of his or her expenses.
Oh, my God.
So in the 25 years we've been doing the program, we've sent close to 200 kids to college, and high school graduation rates have been improved from about 45% to 100%.
Oh, wow.
And crime in the neighborhood is down about 65%. So that neighborhood has transitioned into something really quite special. Turnover in the neighborhood has declined from about 100% to 1 or 2%. And so the neighborhood is really a neighborhood that everyone is so incredibly proud of right now. Recently, we just adopted the Paramore neighborhood in downtown Orlando and are creating a similar program, free preschool, free college for all the kids in the neighborhood.
Wow. That's really spectacular. Any of those college graduates then go ahead and join your company as an associate?
Well, I don't think so. Many of them are going to get their advanced degrees,
wonderful,
masters and PhDs, and we're just so incredibly proud of them. We now do have an alumni association of college graduates who were part of the Tangelo Park program and soon part of the Paramore program, and we're so incredibly proud of that. And we have an alumni dinner once a year, and to hear the stories of those youngsters is really heartwarming.
Wonderful. That's amazing. You've also done some work in Haiti. Is that true?
Yes. About a third of our associates are from Haiti. So we've been in Haiti for about 25 years. We recently completed a school.
Wow.
And it's just amazing how God works, because we finished the school 2 weeks later. Hurricane Matthew roared through Haiti and destroyed the village where the school is located. But the people who were in these little homes not really constructed to withstand
Right.
winds of 140, 150 miles an hour, sought refuge in the school, and about 150 people were in the school during the hurricane, and the hurricane did very little damage to the school, and we probably helped save some lives. Now what we're doing is repairing and replacing the 105 homes that were damaged or destroyed. We're doing that project right now.
Wow. Wow, it's amazing. That's really spectacular that you are really so concerned with people outside of just your little core group. I don't see enough of that these days, and it's really inspiring.
Well, but look, when you start where we started and are where we are today, you have to say thank you, God.
Yeah.
You have to say, I'm going to do the best I can to help others. It is doing the right thing. We're proud of it. Our associates are proud of it. And we'll continue to do it for as long as we can.
Wonderful. And just to switch topics one sec before we wrap up, any advice that you could give to young folks that are interested in being the next hospitality mogul, maybe not in Orlando, but in some other city somewhere?
Yes, someplace else, please.
Yes, because no new hotels are allowed in Orlando. We've already established that.
No. I think number one, and this is difficult, very few people succeed in doing this. Find something that you really love. Now, the word passion might be a little bit too much, but find something you really love, something you really enjoy. To go to work every day and not really enjoy what you're doing, it's so sad.
Yeah.
And I would say 95% of humankind is doing that. So find something you really love, and then work hard.
Yep.
Work really hard. And next, be honest. Be honest. Don't fall into the trap that so many folks do on occasion and try to do something that's a little bit wiggly. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Be honest. And next, respect others. Really respect them. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. And I know that's not terribly cerebral, but it's elementary. And always try to do the right thing. That doesn't guarantee success, but it certainly enhances the likelihood that you'll achieve success.
And you know what? You'll sleep better at night, and I think just be an overall better human being. And that's kind of what it's all about for all of us, right, Mr. Rosen?
I think you're right.
Yeah. Excellent. Is there any final words that you have? How about, plugging your hotels?
No final words. I would like to thank you so much for this opportunity to kind of kibitz a little bit with you.
I love it. And I look good use of the words kibitz as well.
I think I am an example of only in America of what makes this unbelievable country the exceptional country it is. And surely we have challenges from time to time, but we always have to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And God bless the United States of America.
You got that right. And let me give you some plugs. Go to rosenhotels.com. Stay at any of their properties, Rosen Inn International, the Rosen Inn Point Orlando, the Clarion Lake Buena Vista, the Rosen Plaza Hotel, Rosen Center Hotel, Rosen Shingle Creek. If it's got the name Rosen on it, you should stay in it. Again, that's rosenhotels.com. Sir, it has been a distinct honor to speak with you today. I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, and I'm really had such a great time speaking with you. So thank you so much. Thank you. Enjoy. And I want to thank everybody for listening to today's show. And you know what? I will be back next week. That is unless I decide to kick this podcasting gig and go get myself a job at Rosen Hotels and then maybe get laid up in the hospital for a really long time, because I know it's not going to cost me any money. But thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.